This is Joy News Prime.
Welcome to Joy News Prime. My name is Israel. Live from wherever you're watching, this is the most comprehensive 2 hours of television news in Ghana. Coming up, former Attorney General and anti-corruption vigilante Martin Amidu fires yet another salvo in the media war with investigative journalist Anas Arameya, Anas challenging him to prove the legality of his establishment, Tiger IPI. As the finance minister gets ready to present the 2016 election year budget on Friday, the Institute of Statistical, Social and Economic Research is urging government to move away from borrowing to retire existing debts. 30-year-old employee of telecoms firm Vodafone killed in an attack on his home by armed robbers. Yet another robbery, neighbors say, is increasingly making the Accra suburb of Sakumono a terrifying place to live.
Businesses to have a fair idea of government's economic policy statement for next year on Friday. But what could make them describe the budget as business-friendly or spooky? We'll tell you in business.
And global pharmaceutical giant GlaxoSmithKline calls off Ebola vaccine trials in Ghana following public protests. I'll be doing this bulletin with
Abigail Admakunchi
and 3 others who show up later on in the course of the bulletin, which is also available across Europe on ABN television, on the Sky platform, as well as Freeview Connects. Do stay tuned. Now, very first story, the Greater Accra Region Police has arrested 6 suspected criminals said to be armed robbers and members of a car snatching syndicate. They were paraded at the Central Police Station in Accra on Thursday afternoon.
The suspected car snatching syndicates include Kofi Treme, a mason, Bernard Saki, a constructor, Jalil Idrisu, a driver's mate, and William Yao Osei, a driver. Greater Accra Regional Commander DCOP Christian Teteyehonu briefed the media on their alleged crimes.
The suspects snatched a Mercedes-Benz saloon vehicle and drove the snatched vehicle to Sakumono and abandoned the vehicle after changing its registration number. Then snatched another Nissan saloon vehicle and other valuables belonging to the owner, including a wristwatch, phones and assorted items. They were about slashing her with a machete when neighbors nearby drew the attention of others with a security alarm device, which then scared them off. They moved second vehicle to La Paz with the intentions of continuing their robbery spree when police patrol teams spotted them and engaged them in a hot chase until eventually abandoned the vehicle at Tabora and bolted. The 4 went for a high taxi with the intention of going to Amasaman, their hideout. On their way, police arrested them around Achimota New Plan.
The other 2 suspected armed robbers who have been on the police wanted list for some time now are Ernest Atani Jigbodi and Roland Dake. The 2 have allegedly been involved in several armed robbery attacks at Teshi and its surroundings.
It will be recalled that barely 2 months ago, the Regional Police Command arrested and paraded 2 hardened criminals by names Ababe McDay alias Obobi and Simon Sowa alias Sami for their various involvement in robberies within Teshi Rasta, Tribleo, Okwegono, Greater Estate Fertilizer, Agberizan and other areas. The 2 who are presently serving 45 years and 70 years imprisonment with hard labor, together with these 2, have terrorized a number of residents within the areas earlier mentioned and have been on police wanted list until Simon and the other partner were arrested 2 months ago. After the arrest of the convicts, the police continued to pursue the rest, and God Jigbodi and Roland also arrested at Tema with the help of Tema police. The 2 have led the police to over 16 houses and still counting within the Teshi Nugwa enclave. They shall be processed for court after investigations.
The Greater Accra Regional Commander, on behalf of Ghana Police, extended condolences to the family of Ebo Panford Kwenu, the young man who was murdered by armed robbers at Sakumono, and assured they will not rest till the suspects are brought to book. He, however, offered some security advice to the general public in times of an armed robbery attack.
According to the wife, they came home somewhere around 8-9 o'clock, and then around 1:30 thereabout, there they heard a loud bang, and I think that is a stage whereby the man decided to put on the light in the room, and that is very risky. It is better always to put on the outside lights and not to put on the lights that is in the bedroom. So the robbers were able to see the man through the window because he was standing by the window, and because there was light over there, they were able to target him, and then they shot him.
DCOP Yohonu said police are putting measures in place to ensure Ghanaians enjoy a crime-free Christmas.
Now, as you heard the police say in that story about the death of Ebo Panford Kwenu, the police and national security have opened investigations into the killing of that 30-year-old man at Sakumono near Accra. Ebo Panford Kwenu, he works with Vodafone. He was reportedly gunned down by armed robbers who stole various items from his house. His neighbors say the robbery is the latest in the area, in an area where many people are living in fear. Latif Idris visited the house of the deceased and has come through with the following report.
I'm currently at the residence of Ebo Panford Kwenu, the 30-year-old Vodafone worker who was gunned down by armed robbers yesterday. Now, as you can see, the gate is under lock. But what we can tell you is that the situation has put some fear and panic among the residents who live in this area. Now, what they are calling for is for the police to beef up security in this area to ensure their safety. According to residents in the area, Ebo got married 3 months ago and moved into the house with his newly wedded wife. The marketing officer with Vodafone Ghana, according to residents, recently sold his unregistered BMW saloon car online. Some residents say they suspect the business partners of the deceased to be behind the killing. Ako Patrick is a resident. Just like the deceased who was shot multiple times in the head by his assailant, Patrick recounts how he was shot in the stomach by armed robbers who attacked him a year ago.
The
police used to patrol the neighborhood in the past, but now the situation has changed. They've stopped patrolling the area.
Sometimes they tip off
I suspect the armed robbers they had a tip-off from an insider. We got information that he was riding in a BMW which he recently sold online. So we suspect his business partners traced him to his house to kill him. Residents say this neighborhood in Sakumono, popularly known as Brooklyn Washing Bay, has become too much of a safe haven for armed robbers because police hardly patrol the area.
I
heard the gunshot, and the wife subsequently came to ring our doorbell, but we declined to open because we thought she was part of the armed robbers. We need the police to come and patrol this area. We are currently living in fear.
We did a lot of calls, a lot, calling people all over. Once the lady too was shouting here and there, but my husband were able to call one of his friends, police, and I think they came down, and they all went to the place, and my husband told me that he saw the man lying down with a lot of blood, full of blood.
Very sad. But how do you feel now in this neighborhood?
Oh, we are not safe, and we are not safe at all because this is not the first time. This is not the first time they've been coming attack. So I think the police have to do something. The police have to come to our aid and help us.
The traumatized wife of the deceased has since been moved to an unknown location where she is receiving treatment. Police say they will do everything possible to find the robbers.
Staying with crime in Accra, A female student at the University of Professional Studies, Accra, has died after she was stabbed multiple times by her boyfriend. Medical administrator of the Pentecost Hospital, Dr. Godwin Atto, who confirmed the tragic incident to the student and another young man believed to be a taxi driver were brought to the hospital early Thursday morning with stab wounds. Despite efforts by doctors, the level 300 banking and finance student Jennifer Tioku passed on. The young man has been resuscitated and is responding to treatment, according to the doctor. The two have been reportedly dating for the past 5 years. The young man was reported to have visited the lady in her hostel. Now, the photograph is available here on my journal online, except that it's blurred because it's too gory to show to the public, but it comes under the headline, third-year UPSA student stabbed to death by boyfriend. You can get into my journal online and get to read a lot more about that story. But in other news, stop borrowing to pay debts. That's a strong warning from the Institute of Statistical, Social and Economic Research to government. Ahead of the presentation of the 2016 budget tomorrow, ISA is worried about government's recurrent expenditure, which far exceeds revenue. Professor Felix Asante is director of ISA.
Fiscal deficit was 9.7% of GDP, lower than the deficit of 10.1% of GDP in 2013, but higher than the target of 8.8. Government's revenue decreased marginally from 21.4% of GDP in 2013 to about 21.3% in 2014. And this was due, amongst others, to the weak tax revenue performance in almost all the tax types, except taxes from oil and mineral royalties, which was very, very easy to collect because we know the institutions. Domestic revenue for the year declined by 3.2% due to low performance of the economy. And here, performance of the economy has a relationship with also how we raise revenue.
There will be no clinical trial of Ebola vaccines here in Ghana. This is because the pharmaceutical giant sponsoring the trial, GlaxoSmithKline, has removed Ghana from the list of participating countries. The decision was informed by the controversy surrounding the trials planned for the Volta region last June. Dr. Richard Anani is a member of the Health Committee of Parliament.
The committee, after interaction with key stakeholders, was persuaded that there had been no Ebola clinical trials going on in the country. However, the FDA has approved a vaccine, namely the Janssen Ebola vaccine, for clinical trials as part of an international effort to find a cure to the deadly Ebola virus disease. A second vaccine, the GSK vaccine, is currently being considered for approval. That is at the time when the report at the committee, the issue was referred to the committee. Mr. Speaker, the committee was convinced that the vaccine approved for the clinical trial is safe and that most of the concerns about the vaccine can only be answered after the clinical trials have been undertaken. Mr. Speaker, the committee, cognizant of the fact that approval had been given in order for the trial to be carried out, recommends the House to urge the Minister for Health to intensify education on the clinical trials. The committee also resolved to undertake follow-ups on all the processes involved with these scientific exercises. This, Mr. Speaker, is a report of the Committee on Health. Mr. Speaker, but I wish to just give a short update. Because of the misunderstandings that happened over the period, Ghana lost its place to partake in the clinical trials. So Ghana was not a part of the trial.
The National Executive Council of the New Patriotic Party has just concluded a meeting to decide on the fate of the chairman of the party, Paul Afoko. He was suspended last month for allegedly flouting the party's constitution. That decision threw the party into further turmoil, with some supporters demanding his reinstatement. Kwache Afrenuama of our political desk is at the NPP headquarters in Accra and joins us now on the line with more. Good evening to you, Kwache Afre. What can you tell us about the meeting of the NPP Executive Council?
Well, the National Council of the NPP has affirmed the earlier decision by the National Executive Committee, which is the third highest decision making the NPP, to suspend Paul Afoko indefinitely as chairman of the party. And let me give you an idea of what how the votes went here. 70 people at this meeting, 70 National Council members voted to affirm in favor of decision to affirm the earlier resolution by the National Executive Committee. 6 members of the National Council abstained from voting at all, and there was one dissenting view. So obviously and clearly here, Paul Afoko, per the earlier decision by the National Executive Committee and by this affirmation, remains suspended indefinitely as chairman of the New Patriotic Party. Mr. Freddie Blake continues to act as a national chairman of the MPP.
Now, Alfred, the issue about people challenging the chairmanship or the acting chairmanship of the or the stewardship of Freddie Blake, did they come up at all at this meeting?
Not at all. From information I've picked up, what dominated discussions rather was about where, and at the beginning of this meeting, somewhere around 1 p.m., the core issue that came up was that Mr. Paul Afoko had not signed, his lawyer had not signed the 14-page document in which the concerns he raised in his appeal were, and some members of the National Council thought that was inappropriate because this is a document before a very important body in the MPP, the second highest decision-making body in the opposition party. But the flag bearer intervened and said, well, although this is a fundamental error, let's go ahead and decide on this very controversial, crucial issue for peace, for the sake of peace in the party. Again, some members of the National Council raised issue with the fact that Mr. Paul Afoko's lawyer had signed off indicating that he was national chairman of the party. The same issue that the National Council was going to deliberate on, but eventually that was resolved. Interestingly, Mr. Kwabena Japan, who had all along insisted that that meeting, that NEC meeting, was that resolved to suspend Paul Afoko, was still a matter pending in court, so would not attend any of the meetings convened by Mr. Freddie Blake, was here today, and in fact, after the National Council meeting, which ended a while ago, he was the one who addressed the press, indicating that henceforth Mr. Freddie Blake is acting chairman of the MPP, again following this decision by the National Council. Israel.
Now, Kwachi, does he have any opportunity? I mean, the suspended national chairman, Paul Afoko, does he have any opportunity at all to appeal again?
Well, this is the second highest decision-making body in the MPP. The National Council has decided, per the MPP's constitution, what the avenue available to him was to essentially appeal to the council. Within 2 weeks, a decision had to be taken. He did that. And unless, under this circumstance, a national congress is convened, an emergency congress is convened to decide on this, which I certainly don't see happening, and Mr. Paul Afoko's fate, I can say now, is sealed following this decision.
Now, quickly, was he there? Was the suspended national chairman there, or was his representative there? And what did they have to say?
Well, from my checks and speaking to sources at the party, and Mr. Paul Afoko, in fact, yesterday Nana Komia had told me that Paul Afoko himself will be present to give his own side of the story beyond all this. But the General Secretary has indicated, in fact, at a press conference a while ago as well, that the document he presented, the 14-page document, was enough for the party to decide its fate. So there was no representation in that regard. Paul Afoko was not here. None of his lawyers or representatives came here as well to make a case at the meeting.
All right, thank you very much, Kwachi Afrenium, joining us from the MPP headquarters here in Accra. And the news is that the National Council of the party has voted to affirm the decision of the National Executive Committee to suspend the National Chairman, Paul Afoko. It means that National Chairman Paul Afoko is suspended indefinitely. But staying with issues with the MPP, the Greater Accra Regional Chairman, Sammy Crab, faces suspension from the party as well. This is after he declared that he will not recognize the interim chairmanship of Freddie Blake. Communications Director Nana Komia says those comments expose Mr. Crab to the risk of suspension.
Well, I'm surprised by Mr. Sammy Crab's comments. If he says he would not recognize the decision of the National Executive Committee is showing gross disrespect to that body. And he's supposed to be, I think, third vice chairman or second vice chairman or so. And so for him, I mean, you may disagree, but once that is the decision, you have to follow that decision. If you have a disagreement, the party provides for party members to channel their disagreements and grievances. So I would have expected him, if he had any strong reservations about the decision of the NEC, to follow the laid-down procedures. Indeed, Afoko himself is following the laid-down procedures by bringing an appeal against the decision. So I'm surprised that Mr. Crab says he doesn't agree and he will not respect it. You may disagree, but you have to respect it. So those are unfortunate comments coming from the second vice chairman. And I understand he also said that he disagrees with suspension. I remember Mr. Crab used to be the Greater Accra regional chairman. Even in that relatively small position, he was able, under his administration, to suspend members of the party, including members of parliament. Even from that small position as a relatively small position as Greater Accra regional chairman. He was able to superintend suspension of party members, including members of parliament. So it's strange that today Mr. Crab will be talking about not agreeing with suspension of party members.
A quick correction there, as you heard Nana Kumia say, Sammy Crab is actually the second vice chairman of the New Patriotic Party, and not the Greater Accra Regional Chairman, as I had indicated earlier. We're taking a break on Joy News Prime. We're back with more stories. Please don't go away. Welcome back to Joy News Prime. Former Attorney General Martin Amidu has dismissed suggestions that he is jealous of the anti-corruption accomplishment of investigative journalist Anas Anas. Speaking on City FM in Accra, Mr. Amidu said he has no reason to be envious of Anas. His concern, however, is that the journalist has himself acted illegally and in some cases used his work to shield corrupt politicians.
Anas has been commissioned with an agenda to prove that the judiciary is corrupt, because the judiciary has insistently asked the government to prove that they are corrupt.
But how does that vitiate from the public knowing that the executive is corrupt?
You don't commission somebody who is not licensed, who is not acting in accordance with law, and allow him to breach the laws, the criminal laws and other laws, simply because you think that you want to expose one branch which has not been favorable to your government. They have no business commissioning an undercover agent with the sole purpose of covering up their own corruption, because they raise emotion on judicial corruption for political corruption to be forgotten.
Because you are questioning the integrity of the person who produced the evidence.
Look.
So then, how can the Chief Justice be right, and yet Anas be an undercover agent illegally?
Look, volunteer cannot be injured. The Chief Justice did not ask Anas to go out and do undercover investigation to arrest judges. He decided on his own to go and do that. He brings resources. The Chief Justice cannot throw them away. The source of the evidence is immaterial as long as it is available. But that does not mean that if the private person or the government agent who produces the evidence can be dealt with legally, the law will not deal with it.
In his latest response on Facebook, he sought to say that the brightening of another candle does not dim the light of your candle, suggesting that maybe you feel that the space you occupy as Ghana's anti-corruption avatar is being threatened.
Please, Anas is not my age mate. Anas, my son is older than him, and he's older than my last daughter by 3 years. There's no competition between me and Anas. What I am against is for any citizen of Ghana to lend himself to the executive for surveillance on fellow citizens. It is unconstitutional. It's not allowable.
Ms. Amidu, after that radio interview, has released the latest installment of his write-ups questioning the integrity of the investigative journalist Anas Anas and the legal status of his private investigations firm. Malik Abbas Dabo of our political desk joins me in the studio with more on this. Good evening to you, Malik. And I keep having you all the time.
Absolutely.
You know, yesterday when we had the conversation, I was asking if it was possible, it was likely that Martin Amidu was going to come back again. He has indeed come back again, proving all of us wrong. What is the point of the latest writing?
Well, primarily what he's saying is picking his argument forward. In the previous discussions, what he has said is that Anas's company is an unlawful entity. Unlawful entity means it is not known in law. And he points out that by the company's code, 1963, any company that is a limited liability company must have as part of its name the word limited. And he says Anas company does not have limited attached to it. It is simply Tiger IPI. Now, when he said that, Anas's lawyer responded to him and said, in fact, the name of the company is Tiger IPI Limited. It's just that in public presentations, they don't add the limited. So they started adding the limited. Now, Matamidi comes back and says, no, that does not cure the problem of Anas's company. In fact, if you go to the Registrar General's Department, there's a company registered in the name of Tiger Eye. But Martin Amidi's contention is that that company is Tiger Eye PI Media Limited. And he's gone further to go and look at the services that Tiger Eye PI Media Limited said is supposed to render. And he juxtaposed that with what Tiger Eye, Anas's company, has put on its website at the services that it is rendering. If you go to the website, tigeripi.org, there are 17 services that Anas's company has listed that it undertakes. Amongst them, private investigations, background checks of employees, and all of those things. Now, the man says, if you look at what is on the website, and look at what is on the Tiger IPI Media Limited registration documents, they are entirely different things. So in his opinion, Tiger IPI is a fraudulent company rendering services without license. And he says that if the company wanted to be rendering private investigations, the law says, and he's quoting the regulations 1, regulations 5 and 14 of the police service private security organizations regulations. And he says this law requires that any institution that is desiring to go into the business of private investigations must of necessity and by law require a license from the Minister of Interior. In his argument, Tiger IPI does not have any such license. In addition to that, the services that it says it is providing on the website are fundamentally and radically different from the services that are contained in Tiger IPI Media Limited's registration document, which is available at the Registrar General's Department.
Now, in that interview with City FM, Martin Amidu has hinted, he hinted that he may go to court to out Tiger IP. Does he state that in this latest installment of
what he has done is to push the onus on Anas to prove that, look, what you say you are providing on your website and what you are providing, you said you will provide when you were registering Tiger IPI Media Limited are different. Prove to us how come. How can you convince anyone that Tiger IPI is a duly registered company recognized by law? Prove that. When you finish proving that, then we can have further discussions on this matter.
Interesting. Anyway, has there been any response from Anas?
No, Anas hasn't responded. I think it is probably the case that Anas has decided not to keep fighting. As you know, Martin Amidu will not let go unless he believes that he's run out of options. At this point, he believes that he has a solid case and he will continue to make it. It is entirely possible he may go to court. He's not shy of going to court. He has done that. Martin Amidu has taken the entire state to the Supreme Court and has obtained favorable judgment. That is not to say that in this matter, the law is on his side and that if he were to go to court, he will succeed. But as long as he believes that he has a case, he will continue to pursue.
And he wouldn't mind going to court.
And he wouldn't mind going to court.
All right, but you're also on the political desk, and since you're here, I'd like to pick your thoughts about what's happening in the MPP. So the National Council has affirmed the suspension of National Chairman Paul Afoko. Essentially, it leaves him with no choice now. He's suspended indefinitely.
Well, this was expected, wasn't it? We all knew that.
Well, I thought that for some reason they may overturn the decision.
It had no way of happening, because if you look at the trajectory of events, and if you look at Afoko's own conduct, or persons acting on his behalf, or persons who said they were acting on his behalf, the conduct, the demonstrations, the court cases, the public utterances, the statements, all of that. And these are the basis upon which the persons who petitioned his removal cited as examples of misconduct. And after the decision, which was taken by the disciplinary committee of the party and endorsed by the National Executive Committee, these conducts continued. It was going to be difficult to convince any member of the National Council that he has repented, that he's acting in the interest of the party, and that the decision needed to be reversed. Of course, remember that after he was suspended, there was a steering committee meeting. There was a National Council meeting, at where you saw almost everybody who mattered in the party was present. In fact, we reported that out of the about 110 National Council members, 95 of them attended that meeting. And this was about 2 weeks ago. And all of them affirmed, although it was not a meeting to consider the suspension, all of them affirmed that they stood by the decision.
I'm curious, that, you know, the people who are going out there and speaking against the suspension of Paul Afoko. And so I'm expecting that at this National Council meeting, some of these people will show up and vote probably against the suspension.
Are they National Council members? That's
70
an important
people
question to ask.
Voted in favor of.
They may not be National Council members. We know about Andrew Zawuni. Andrew Zawuni is not a National Council member. So if Andrew Zawuni says he's against the decision, well, he's allowed to express his opinion because it's a democratic institution. But is he a member of the National Council? He is not. If he's not a member of the National Council, his opinions do not matter when it comes to taking the decision. We have heard Sami Krab. Sami Krab, we just played his voice. He's the second vice chairman of the MPP. And he himself, as Nana Kumia said, may face
suspension.
Absolutely, because if somebody petitioned the party's disciplinary committee, that may be his fate as well. We had the general secretary of the party, who himself took an entrenched position and said, as far as he was concerned, Paul Afoko remained the chairman. If you listen to our correspondent, Alfred, who is at the place now, he has come to the realization that continuing digging and supporting Afoko may actually spell his own political doom. He's taking a rather wise strategic decision to pull back and look at where the chips may fall.
All right. Thank you very much, Malik Abbas Dabu. And Malik has been speaking to us about a number of things. First of all, Martin Amidu and his confrontation with Anas Arame Anas, and then on the issues that have been happening in the New Patriotic Party. We're taking a break at this point to come back with business news. Don't go away. All right, it's time for business, and Abigail Adumakwenshi, bright and yellow.
Is it really?
Oh yes, but you're looking bright in that yellow outfit.
Well,
yeah,
bright
like
bright.
the sun.
I take that as a compliment.
It is a compliment.
Well, let's talk about the budget. Tomorrow, the finance minister will be reading it. I'm sure you have a lot of expectations.
Well, my expectations generally are around energy issues, and for me, I want to know how the gap, doom sortings, you can say that. I want to know what government is setting aside, first of all, to pay debts owed Nigeria, the end gas debts, how it's going to be cleared. And then again, we have to make funds available to power a lot of the thermal plants, to buy crude oil, to power a lot of the thermal plants that we have in the system. Otherwise, Doomsor is going nowhere.
Energy things. Okay, so let's hear what the businesses have to say. I'm sure power is one of them, but above power, what else do they have to say? Let's just hear them talk.
Sure,
so in less than 24 hours, businesses will have a fair idea about government's economic policy statement for 2016, how it is planning to raise taxes and how the revenues mobilized will be spent. But what could make the private sector describe the budget as business-friendly? Well, Joy Business caught up with some players in the business world.
Businesses have suffered from power cuts through to currency fluctuations and dollars not even being available in the market and so forth and so on. Clearly, it's affected business. A lot of businesses have closed down. Workers have been laid off. And I believe entering into a new year, I'm expecting the minister to give some sort of tax reliefs for workers, for employers, reduction of taxes if may be, so that at least they can maintain to have their staff working and keep the offices and the businesses going. Elsewhere in the world, when these things happen, these are the approaches and methods that countries use to get out of the situation. I'm looking for arrears to be paid. Once this is done, the banks become liquid, people have money in their pockets, it will stimulate the economy, and then it will bring us to normal. Expecting the Honorable Minister to help businesses and also Ghanaians at large, at least give us hope, give us good news on Friday, do the things that would help us to be happy for Christmas, at least for a change.
Economic stability is key, and we want to see that reflected in the budget. There are indicators that will point out to this, so we'll be monitoring that. Besides that, there have also been a number of proposals that the private sector has made, in fact AGI in particular, and our expectation that some of those issues will be looked at. For example, the duty drawback. When people overpay their duty, government is supposed to reimburse them with a difference. It is not happening. 2 years ago, we proposed a special provision in the budget, for payment of this duty drawback. They made a provision, but it wasn't sufficient. Last year, it was increased. Now, the challenge is still that even when it's been accepted and the provision has been made, the administrative processes of repaying the tax refund becomes a big challenge. So we have introduced another thing as a proposal to government this year, and that is the introduction of tax credits. We want to see all this reflected in the budget.
We'll stay on the budget, and calls by some businesses to be granted tax breaks and exemptions in 2016 budget might just not go away. The Ghana Stock Exchange is also pushing for a similar relief for companies listed on the market as well as individuals with investments on the local bourse.
I think the Stock Exchange has a mixed regular input into each budget preparation, and a submission was made to the government on a number of proposals. I think some of them are quite standard. One of them is extension of the exemption of capital gains on listed companies from taxes. I think Stock Exchange also proposed enriching the tax benefits for listed companies. Currently, I think they get a lower tax rate, 3 percentage points below the normal corporate tax rate. And so Stock Exchange has proposed that those benefits be enriched. A third one is the tax on dividends compared to the tax on interest income. Currently, dividends are taxed at 8%, but income taxes on interest income are 0, which is really discriminatory against those who buy shares as compared to those who simply invest their monies in treasury bills and other fixed income instruments.
A lot of expectations from businesses, but are these expectations likely to be met? I have in the studio with me George Riafi, my colleague, who has been speaking to these industry players and, well, can ascertain or project some expectations to come. George, what are we likely to see tomorrow? Are these expectations likely to be met? Looks like government has already failed in the macroeconomic indicators. Inflation, for instance, we're talking about 11.5, where in 2015 they projected, and as it stands now, we are on 17%.
Let's first start with the issues about the macroeconomic targets. Now, for 2015, these targets were set. Government couldn't meet them. You had to come back to Parliament and review them. So when it comes to sticking to growth projections, inflation, when it comes to expenditure, there's a problem there that government has to address going into the 2016 budget in terms of credibility issues here. Are we going to see government stick by the growth targets, by the revenue targets, by the expenditure targets? That's $1 million question. But coming to the bit about what businesses want, they want tax breaks. It might be difficult. Going into 2016, we even hear the government might take off some of these tax exemptions. Because the argument here from the donor partners and the IMF is that, listen, if you're not prepared to hike the tax rates, then it's looked like you can make a lot of money if you remove these exemptions. So there's a likelihood that the finance minister might say, okay, let's take off these tax exemptions. and let's help that improve revenue. But again, don't forget that, for instance, if somebody is a medical operator, pharmaceutical company is bringing in some equipment tax-free. Now, if you take off these exemptions, that person's cost of operations might go up. I have not heard for the Christmas. I'll pass it on to you. So there are implications even about this government's approach if they indeed accept to take off these exemptions from businesses. So when it comes to the issue about the tax breaks businesses are looking for, it might be difficult. But because government is looking at revenue target of about 37 billion Ghana cedis. In 2015, they did somewhere around 30 billion revised. So is it possible? I don't think so.
But the question is, government should find innovative ways of raising revenues, and is the tax, exemptions, taking off the tax exemptions a way to go? Businesses are really against that. So what do you say? Tomorrow we are going to see, the finance minister tell us that, well, businesses, here are more taxes for you.
I think that's a challenge, and that's why we are all waiting to see the fine details or the fine documents, because you're caught in between trying to raise more revenue. Going into an election year, you have to provide the funds for a clean election. So government has that time. That's a big revenue gap the government has to address.
That brings me to expenditure.
You're looking about somewhere around 6 billion Ghana cedis that government has to actually cover up for 2016. Where's the money going to come from? Do we need to hide the tax rates? Do we need to introduce new taxes? Or do we cut expenditure? I think for the expenditure part, it's more of a no. So some of the areas that we are looking at, when you look at government's own projections for 2015, 2016, and 2018, government is projecting that for next year, they're going to raise somewhere around 43 billion Ghana cedis. Now, if you look at the revised budget estimates for 2015, they are planning to spend 40 billion. It's impossible for us to see government just add 3 billion to that revenue number. So it looks like the option now is to cut going into 2016, and it will come along with some serious challenges, what we call the austere measures.
Businesses also want government to spend so that there could be some,
it's
stimulation.
Not possible. I mean, this is going to be, from the experts, from the economists, it's going to be an austere budget. You have to cut, you have to do some serious cuts and raise more revenue, because you're trying to correct the deficit. We understand when you go through the IMF document, bringing it down from 5.8 to 5.3. So obviously there might be some cuts going into the 2016 budget. So let's prepare ourselves what the economists will say, some tough times, on a austere budget, an election-related budget. That'll be tough for you and I.
Okay, so tomorrow we'll be there to see what the finance minister has to say. Thank you very much, George, with those analysis. And we would go back to the stock market and the Ghana Stock Exchange. It's 25 years today. The market witnessed its first trading on November 12, 1990. 25 years on, the market now has 40 share securities with a capitalization of 62 billion Ghana cedis. But could managers of the exchange have done more? Eko Afeji is Deputy Managing Director of the exchange.
No, because of the fact that the development of the market is always tied to how the economy develops or grows. So from 1990 to now, fine, we've grown all right, but we've had ups and downs in terms of the development of the economy. So it's going to take some time. If you look at the history of markets all over the world, they've always taken a long time to grow the market and get more companies and develop the culture of investment, etc. I mean, the big ones you always refer to are over 100 years old. The recent ones have grown very fast within 20 years. I mean, like the ones in China and Hong Kong. And we still need to do a lot of education. We still need to try and build that culture of investment in the sense that people need to know that when you're buying shares, you're actually investing. And you can buy, hold, sell, get dividends, etc. So we need to develop that culture. But then don't forget, the foundation for all this is savings. So if you don't have very high levels of savings in your country, don't expect a lot of investment. And that is why we need to develop the culture of savings. And that is why we had the children here today. I mean, they're from schools, all right. But we need to develop that culture of savings.
We'll still stay on the stock market, and John Amoakon has joined me already to give us updates on the stock market. What's happening? Looks like today is a big day for the Ghana Stock Exchange. 25 years.
25 years in the life of a market is not that easy. It's been very good for the market. Actually, today also saw some kind of transactions going on. Almost about 1.8 million shares traded on the exchange.
Right.
costing or amounting to close to about 1.1 million Ghana cedis in all. But what I'm talking about is that MLC and the UT Bank lost one peso each today, which is actually not the best of news for everybody. Actually leaving the market capitalization to close somewhere around 62 billion Ghana cedis in that particular order. Still, we are having the CI, that's the composite index and the financial indices in the negative zones as we speak now. It's not very good indicator, but it is good for investors. If you want to actually get to the market right now, this is the best time to actually go in there. But for those who are holding,
it's something that really investors, lay investors, I should say, try to understand. How does this work?
It doesn't. Yes, but then if you actually the one holding it, then naturally you'll be wondering, what is my investors or what's the shares doing actually. So I think so far so good, but this is about the time for investors to actually go in there. And
can we talk about the currency?
Yes, of course. Yes, we also doing some commodities right here. It's still very good times for cocoa. Cocoa has actually been gaining, not necessarily because things are really getting better, but of course, we're having some adverse weather conditions enhancing the demand for the commodity, which is actually causing prices to actually increase. But then gold is still suffering and crude oil is still suffering, losing almost about 2.77% and 0.22% respectively on that particular market. So I think that is exactly what it is that we are supposed to see. And then on the currency market, we're still seeing the US dollar doing quite well against the cedi. But over a period of time, the cedi has been quite stable. Okay. And then the British pound also doing very well. That is one thing that we need to consider. Beginning this year, the dollar was actually the issue we were talking about. But now the dollar is gradually gaining currency. But then let's look at something here. The CFA, the francophone currency, is also gaining momentum over a period of time. So we should be watching that, as a country. So going forward tomorrow, I think I would want to see the Minister of Finance say things that would actually improve our currency situation against the major trading currencies across the continent and Europe in general. So Abigail, this has been the condition across the various markets. It's been quite good. Let's see what happens.
A mixture. Thank you very much, John, for those details. And that will be all for business. My name is Abigail Adomakoenchi. Do make a date with us tomorrow as we go to Parliament to bring you all the details on the 2016 budget. Israel Lai comes back with more. Do stay.
Welcome back to Joy News. Prime Minister's quarters are there at Asokore Mampong affordable housing project in the Ashanti region have been giving a one-month ultimatum to vacate the premises. The directive by the Minister for Water Resources, Works and Housing, Dr. Kweku Agyeman-Mensah, follows government's decision to take steps to complete the project. Here's a report by Mahmoud Mohamed Nuruddin.
The 1,200-unit affordable housing project has been handed over to the Social Security and National Insurance Trust to complete and sell to any interested individuals. The 92 blocks are expected to be completed in the next 18 months. Director General of SNIT, Ernest Thompson, is hopeful the project will be completed on schedule.
This Asokore Mampong project of 92 blocks comprising approximately 1,125 flats will be delivered over a period of, let's say, between 6 months to 12 or 18 months, depending on the state of each building when we take over. I must, however, stress that it will be sold to the general public when we finish.
When completed, the affordable housing unit in Asokore Mampong will have 52 stores, a police station, school, market, and a health center. The Minister for Water Resources, Works and Housing, Dr. Kweku Agyeman-Mensah, warned contractors that there are consequences for missing deadlines. He issued a one-month ultimatum to thousands of squatters who have taken over the uncompleted building without authorization to vacate or face the wrath of the police. The affordable housing project was started in 2005 by the then Kufuor administration to provide housing units at affordable prices to lower and middle income Ghanaians. But the project came to a halt in 2008 due to financial constraints.
We bring international news next. And that'll be all for international news.
Efrem Antimuni
My watch a fear dream mini, and na my juma me and in the mammy tonti. Network I never use no, ne hamajin, and no ma, me quite journey, Vodafone Business Solution. Red Business Package. A canami bono, above from Kra, a mammy name Juma 4, it to me Freya home free. Vodafone Business Solution, ama my ready business.
The Vodafone Business Solutions home. Red business is she yenu tum. Afi, when you do my phone free calls, mohomo. Abrebian so better credit no. When your bonus nini keka hu bebre. Ko Vodafone shop BM. Na yin chow to so.
Vodafone, power to you.
Racing is here. Good evening to you, Racing. What's coming up on J9?
Well, with less than 24 hours to the 2016 budget reading, we ask, what are your expectations?
Government will do some serious work with graduate unemployment, and then, of course, fix the doom so that all of us have come to be used to.
And Accra woke up to the sad news of murder, 2 of several in the past few months. Is Ghana becoming more dangerous, or are media reports making things seem worse than they really are? Well, join us with your comments within the hour on Facebook, Twitter, and on WhatsApp. Israel. All right, so you know for sure that I ain't going anywhere, so I'm going to be with you, and I hope that you stay with us as well. We have entertainment and sports also coming up in the second hour of the bulletin. Please stay tuned. We're back in a bit.
Budget 2016, what does it mean for you? Will it deliver what is needed where it's needed? We are breaking down the budget this Friday on radio, on TV and online. Join in on social media, Twitter and Facebook. It's the election year budget. Budget 2016, this Friday from 9 a.m.
Right, time now for a recap of our top stories. Former Attorney General and anti-corruption vigilante Martin Amidu fires yet another salvo in the media war with investigative journalists challenging Anas Aremeyanas to prove the legality of his establishment, Tiger IPI. As the Finance Minister gets ready to present the 2016 election year budget on Friday, the Institute of Statistical, Social and Economic Research is urging government to move away from borrowing to retire existing debts. 30-year-old employee of telecoms firm Vodafone killed in an attack on his home by armed robbers. Yet another robbery, neighbors say, is increasingly making the Accra suburb of Sakumono a terrifying place to live. Businesses will be having a fair idea of government's economic policy statement for next year on Friday the 13th. And still, global pharmaceutical giant GlaxoSmithKline has called off the Ebola vaccine trials in Ghana following public protests. Now, one of the first plastic surgeons to work at the burns unit of the Kolubu Teaching Hospital says the unit is not fit for purpose. According to Dr. Anthony Lane, the structure, which was donated by the Scottish government some 50 years ago, cannot meet local health demands. He spoke to Hannah Odame on the sidelines of a donation by GNPC for the completion and refurbishment of the intensive care unit of the burn center.
According to Dr. Lane, the current burns unit is not weather-friendly for Ghana, which is in a tropical zone. He wants it pulled down.
I would have thought we would have put up a custom-made, tropicalized and made purely for the tropics burns unit.
What's the difference with that?
This structure we are in at the moment, it's a replica of a temperate climate hospital which was in use for a very long time in Scotland, decommissioned, in other words broken down, and the furniture brought down here.
Oh yes.
So if you enter the ward, you find the ceiling very low, not enough space between the beds, lack of space for the nurses who have to change and do the work. They are finished with it, and we're having a second hand.
Meanwhile, the commissioned ICU of the Burns Center, which has not been used since it was commissioned 5 years ago, will from June next year be able to cater for patients. Last week, Joy News reported on how the 3-story facility was rotting away because it did not have the needed equipment to operate. This morning, the Ghana National Petroleum Corporation assisted the unit with $1 million. CEO of GNPC Alex Mould said the corporation will help train staff of the hospital.
For you to have a world-class organization, you need to be continuously training your personnel, and that is what I see that the Burns and Reconstructive Unit is doing, and we will encourage them and we will support them do that. Starting, of course, with the Burns Center and the other ICUs in Kolubu.
Excited Director of the Burns Unit, Dr. Opokuwari Amponsa, promised the facility will be well maintained.
Work is going to start early next month, and then this will continue. This will be in 3 phases, and we're expecting that by June of next year this will be completed. And then so mean that by the 3rd quarter of next year we should be able to move into the facility and make it fully operational.
You told me you needed between 1.5 and $2 million. How are you going to make up for the rest of the money?
Well, we've had some discussions with GNPC, and we trust that they will look at how the things progress, and they'll be able to extend their support further.
For Joy News, my name is Hannah Odame.
A tea seller in Gwa is basking in the glory of offering President Mahama a ride on his tricycle. Alhaji Osman Walu drove his special passenger during the president's recent official visit to the Upper West region. He has been speaking to Joy News' Rafiq Salam.
I'm very, very happy. I'm happy because many people didn't expect the president to sit on the tricycle motorbike, in which other people used to give it other name, calling it Domama's Kambu. After when he sit on the car, he also asked me, Alhaji, I learned some people call the motor Domama Kambu. And I say, yes, how do I feel it? I say, we as a group, we call it Penya. And the Penya means sit and see. People see the motor as funny things. Immediately the person said to him, he said, oh, Alhaji, these your motors are very, very comfortable. And he also said that, oh, the name, when people call it your Mama Kambu, we shouldn't bother. That's why he also wanted to see the motor and see how comfortable the motor was.
How was it like riding with the president?
I don't feel anything bad because I'm very, very happy because the president instead decided to sit on the motorbike, meaning he considered himself as a grassroots politician.
So let me ask you, how did the president get into the motorbike? Where did you pick him?
I picked him from the new residency, straight to the West Technical School. After which, when the occasion finished, he then stood on the motorbike again, straight to SRIP.
You have...
Vice President Pakusi Emisarata has visited Wesley Girls High School in Cape Coast to assess circumstances surrounding the school's decision to turn back about 200 students who claim to have received admission offers. The Vice President was met by scores of angry parents with their wards who demanded immediate action to resolve the issue. Richard Kojonyaku was saying.
Wesley Girls High School in Cape Coast has been in the news lately for just one reason: the computer school selection placement system. Over 200 students who passed their BEC and were subsequently placed in the school were rejected by school authorities. This drew a lot of criticisms and reactions from parents. Angry parents besieged the premises of the school and had only one reason: the awards should be admitted into the school once the computer has placed them there. When the Vice President visited the school, scores of parents with the awards were anxiously waiting. The students had one in every subject and had a raw score of 462, but was rejected by the school.
They are being cheated on because it's as if certain people are allowed certain privileges and others are being left out, and it's not fair.
When you went to check initially, where were you placed?
And please, it was Wesley Girls, and when we were printing it, it came out as Abuakwa State College, which is my second choice. And please, I had 9 ones.
And you chose Wesley Girls?
Yes, that's my first choice.
Vice President Barima Osei Asare asked the angry parents and students to calm down as government devises ways of solving the problems for them.
As the Deputy Minister of Education has said, the headmistress and the staff are looking for solutions to address your concerns. We are also quite concerned about what to do. We have identified a number of steps that we take in the next few days that will allow for your children to come to the school. And the assurance that he wants to give is in the next few days, not in the next few weeks, because weeks is a little long. But he also doesn't want to give a precise time, and then he does it much more quicker than he anticipated, and then there will be a problem. So we'll make sure that your children come to the school as promised by the letters, the admission letters that you have, and that we'll be able to do that.
We have been here some of us have been here for the past 3 weeks. I'm from Aflao. I have a far journey to make back, and hoping that each day brings a result to me. And then, is it possible that we are giving our admission letters, at least, because our names are already here, I know and I believe that, so that once we have our admission letters, we can go and rest in the house. Whatever time that is given to us to report, we'll patiently do that. But for us to live here for 3 weeks and go back home, our husbands will go and cut our head off, because our hotel bills alone will pay school fees for 3 times. I don't know what message I'm sending back home, because yesterday my husband gave me up to 5 o'clock to live here, but then here I am again today, the same story. So I'm afraid going back home. So if at least I can send an admission letter home, then he will be rest assured that his daughter has been admitted into a school which is pending solving some solutions.
Before leaving the school, the Vice President inspected the building projects with the headmistress of the school, Betty Jokoto. Surprisingly, some of the building projects that were completed about 2 years ago cannot be used because they have been shortly done. Well, this building has been named by the school as a sinking block. It has been named as a sinking block because there are cracks and crevices all over. The school is unable to use this building that was just constructed in 2013. Barima Osei Asare urged the contractors and the engineers who accompanied him to fast track the work to ensure that all students that were placed in the school received admission. Richard Kwejenyakon, Joy News, Cape Coast.
And entertainment is next.
Entertainment news is brought to you by
Airtel, the smartphone network.
Ms. G is here with entertainment. Good evening to you, Ms. G.
Good evening, Israel. How are you doing?
I'm fine.
All right, I'm also doing well.
Okay, I can see that.
So all is set for Adum Praise on the 21st of November.
Yep.
It's coming off. And another person who is billed to perform, apart from the headline art, who is Ezekiah Walker, is Joe Metal. He also tells us how ready he and his band are getting for the show.
We're still preparing, we're still praying, we're still rehearsing, we're still just planning and expecting, what God would do on that day. We're just getting ready. It's always an opportunity and a blessing to be part of the things of God. So when you get a chance, it's a humbling experience. So, together we're going to join to lift up praise unto the Lord. So it's going to be something else that day. We are all expecting the glory of God. We are all expecting the power of God. We are all expecting the presence, the manifest presence of God. And I think that's what makes a difference in a man's life. And as we experience that power and that presence, the people that are in the place, their lives will change for the better. That presence that transforms a man's life. That's what we're expecting.
Judah, there is nobody like you. Somebody, if you know that there is no one like our God, can you put your hands together?
We're looking forward to having Joe Metal perform on Adom Pray.
Sure.
Beverly
Afaglo, you remember the Instagram wahala between she and Sawa. Now, I caught up with Beverly. She's on set shooting a movie titled Bankers Chronicles, and she's telling me why she actually decided to descend on this lady on Instagram. She says she has no regrets still.
Apparently, the night before that he got the information, he had called GH1 and blasted them. He actually fired them. He was ready to even go to the studio if it was but when you cross the line, you cross the line. So in the morning when everything was discovered, I realized that the girl crossed the line.
I love this lady, don't you?
I'm imagining if she finds herself in the same room with this woman, it looks like she's going to tear her apart.
I tell you, I asked her, have you heard from her since the day, you posted? She says no, but I'm satisfied because she's called my husband to apologize to him.
Oh, really?
GH1 has called my husband to apologize to him, so I am satisfied. And I don't have any problems with her, so long as she will stay away from my husband.
I hope that settles it.
I hope so as well.
Because at this rate, I mean, you can tell that she
was
really fired up.
extremely emotional talking to me about this issue. It wasn't all that she said that I could put on television. She was extremely emotional.
Anyway, but I think we should also clear out. You caught her on a movie set.
Yes, I did.
So she's shooting a movie.
Yes, that's how come she's wearing. Because the movie she's playing a role of. She tells me that she was caught. She was a nurse who actually diagnosed someone falsely, and so I think the person died. It was a minister's son.
So that's how come to jail.
Exactly. So that's
so she's wearing her jail clothes. Otherwise, I'm sure she'll be dressed just as lovely as you are.
We met her at the Usher Fort. That's where they were shooting. So let's talk about Yvonne Nelson. Today is her 30th birthday, and I caught up with Kofi Ajololo on this movie set as well, and you know that she refers to Kofi Ajololo as her godfather in the industry.
Oh, I see.
And here's what he had to say when I said Yvonne is 30 today.
You should have just called me to tell me, or even send me a message so I can wish you a happy birthday. Anyway, I'm using this opportunity on this platform, on this program, to say happy birthday, baby. Stay cool, grow big, bigger things must come your way. In the name of Jesus.
When I heard the grow big one, I say hold it. I mean, the lady is slim. I'm not sure she wants to grow big.
No.
Unless he meant that
of course.
Become great. Rather than because even Nelson is slim things.
And you love her like that,
Yeah.
I know you do. I know you do. But the same Yvonne.
Oh, by the way, happy birthday to
happy birthday to you. She's out of town. She says she's in Italy. So when she touches down, hopefully.
Oh, she's going to watch this in Italy on ABN.
Sure, she will. And so Yvonne earlier had blamed the lack of growth in the Ghanaian movie industry to jealousy and bickering.
Are not united, because from the actors to the producers to everyone in our industry, we just look like we're joking, and it's true, because you'd never see a blogger celebrating any actor or anything. They're always bashing us. And I also realized that sometimes you premiere your movie, the first thing that people want to know is, oh, how many cinema halls did she fill? But why would you be concerned about how many halls the person is filling? Like, really? Is that your concern? So it just tells you, sir, we're actually envious of each other.
But, she said all this, but her godfather totally disagrees.
No. I think on that point, I wouldn't agree with Nelson. Which industry or which workplace or which sector wouldn't you find bickering or jealousy and enviness? It's all over. But it doesn't stop the industry or it doesn't stop the work going. I don't think that is the cause. There are causes that's actually withholding our industry, okay? It's not about individual bickerings and things like that. I don't think so. We do have some challenges. We do have people who don't actually understand each other, you understand? We have gone through some challenges, especially that we can underline them to be out of jealousy and enviness. But I don't think that is the cause of our industry not growing. There are some other causes. There are other things that we need to look at to figure out and then source out, and then we start strategizing to eliminate those things that are that are pulling us down as an industry. You understand?
So that's godfather and goddaughter business.
It's a family affair.
Exactly, it is, it is, it is. Let's talk about Christabel Eke. You know, I told you some time back that she actually went bald for breast cancer awareness. So I caught up with her. I thought it was all a joke when I saw the pictures at first. So I caught up with her. True, she went bald. The hair is growing actually now. She was on the set as well for the Bank Chronicles. And she's been telling me why she decided to do this. She apparently, some members of her family died to breast cancer. Yes, that's how come she decided to do this. But she's been telling me the difficulty she had cutting her hair and her hammer. Who got her the hammer? A customized hammer.
I went bald on my birthday. It's something I did out of my heart for people I've lost to breast cancer and cancer in general. And then I also wanted to create awareness among us women and everybody that cancer is real and you can help yourself. You can prevent it by improving on your lifestyle. So I just wanted to create awareness in my own way.
I know you bought a hammer recently. Everybody kept talking about, oh, an old man bought a hammer. Why would anybody think that you cannot afford a hammer and a man of your father's age or whoever had to buy you a hammer?
Well, I don't know. What people think is not really my business, but the thing is, I don't see why. It's people's opinion. I don't really have anything to say about it. Like, it's cool if I have something, whether I bought it or it was a gift or whatever it is. That's just the whole thing now. I have it. Yeah, I have it. So
you bought it?
I have it.
Somebody gave it to you as a gift?
It's mine. It's mine.
You won't tell us. Was it a birthday gift?
Oh, it's mine. I have it. It's an old one now. It's an old gift now.
Birthday gift. So it's hers, whether you bought it for her or I bought it for her or whoever bought it for her, all that matters is
she's driving it.
And it's customized, you know, Christabel Eke.
Well,
she has it.
You mean the number plate? It's a customized number plate.
Yes, yes, it is.
But as you heard her say, it's an old hammer. It's nothing
bad.
So
it was a gift.
Well, yeah.
And she has it.
And indeed, if we're all going to get somebody to drop us a hammer at some point in time.
So what have you been waiting for all this while?
To drop you a hammer.
Don't I deserve one? Don't I deserve one?
Okay, sure.
All right.
I hear you. When I grow up, I'll buy you a hammer.
When you grow up, okay. I understand that one. I understand that one. I understand that one actually. Anyway, but when you were 3 years,
yes,
what were you thinking of?
Thinking of, I'm not sure I was thinking about anything else. And probably I was just thinking about food.
Food.
Yes.
Here's a 3-year-old guy who is DJing, you know, he knows how to play.
That's cool.
I want to be a baby again. No, seriously, at 3 years, you know.
Cool, that's cool, that's cool. But anyway, I mean, kids coming up these days, they get exposed to all sorts of things.
They do marvelous things, you know.
Yeah, I'm not surprised.
Anyway,
but that's great. That's great.
All right, so thank you very much for having me.
And thank you too for bringing us all the entertainment. It was fun. Lots of entertaining stories.
Next time we'll be with you, you know.
All right then, thank you very much, Miss G, for bringing us entertainment. Up next we bring you sports.
Entertainment news was brought to you by
Airtel, the smartphone network.
It's sports time, and Gary R. Smith is here. Good evening to you, Gary.
I am here indeed. What can come?
Can come.
You know, what can come.
All right, so I'm hearing about this rematch between Bukom Banco and Ayite Paris.
And I don't even know, because it's boxing, we have to say rematch or rebout or refight.
But I'm wondering, is that really for real?
Yeah, it's happening. And guess when it's happening?
When?
Boxing Day.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. They're really serious about it.
But this time it's happening in Kumasi, and that's how we start the sport. So last year and the year before that, the two boxers were able to literally shut down Accra on that evening in March. Unfortunately, for a lot of people, the results they wanted did not happen, which was a knockout. But maybe this time in Kumasi, on the 26th of December, Landmark Promotions have been able to get the two fighters, Ayite Powers and Bukom Banco, back into the ring, and it's going to be a showdown.
Oh, I'm feeling good because I know that the range over is for me. This fight, I want to train her to win the fight because I want to be the IT Paris again because he know that I'm a father. He's a junior. He's shouting. This is shouting. IT Paris is no beat me anywhere. Yes, well, I'm training her to go and win the fight. I want to tell all the Kumasi, you not be only Kumasi, I want to tell the Ghanaian people that I want everybody to come and see the return match. I'll beat Aite Powers against. No libi no. You know that people say that me and Aite Powers fight is a one fight. It's not a one fight. The guy is not throwing your hand. But the way I'm disciplined and people say it be a one fight. It's not a one fight. I'm not fight somebody with a one fight. I'm training hard. If you look my body, because you know that I'm changed. People will give me confidence, but me I don't talk. When the time is reached, you see my confidence into the ring side. You don't be shouting. He's shouting like a ring which is their empty Congo. Don't mind them.
If Ghana is going to take range over, so why I have to give Buko Bangu weight free to fight me, then he will get advantage. We have to make correct weight.
Well, there's a Range Rover at stake, and I can tell you in confidence that Aite Powers uses a Jalopy while Buko Bangu currently uses a Toyota Corolla S, so this will be an upgrade. Away from the boxing though, the Black Stars have landed in the Comoros. They'll be playing in the World Cup qualifiers tomorrow. The game will be kicking off at noon. You can get all our updates on our social media platforms. But ahead of the tie, Emmanuel Ajimambedu, Black Stars midfielder, has been speaking.
This is World Cup home and away base, and we don't have any option than to just kick them out. So we are prepared for the game. We want to start very well. We had a series of meetings and we are ready for the game. No, we focus on the game on Friday and Tuesday. I think the management will take care of the money issues, but we are focusing on the game on Friday. Now football have changed, so you don't have to underrate them. We watched their clip this morning and they are well tactical discipline and they play on counter-attack, so you have to be very worry of them, but we have quality and we train so well, so we are points for action on Friday.
So the Black Stars have never played Comoros in a competitive match. The Comoros have never won a World Cup qualifier, so a lot of people feel that this will be a walkover for the Black Stars, who landed in the island nation today. And on myjournalline.com, we had one of the stories there. Pictures of the team landing in the Comoros Islands. Avram Grant, you can see him there with some island officials there, and a group shot of the Black Stars. 23 players will be representing the country, and hopefully by the time they come back for the second leg in Kumasi next week Tuesday, it will be almost a done deal. But it's not the only thing that's happening across the continent, because there's World Cup qualifiers coming on. I'll be checking out the results pretty shortly. And so if we can check those scores right now, there we are. CAF qualification for the World Cup 2018 second round. Burundi were at home and lost by 3-2 to Congo DR. Namibia were beaten by Guinea, who were short of 3 key players by 1-0. Benin 2, Burkina Faso 1, and that's a sensational result because Burkina Faso were, if you remember, 2013 AFCON qualifiers, AFCON runners-up in the final, beaten by Nigeria. Also, Uganda beat Togo for the first time ever in Lome by 1-0, and 2-0 it is in the 70th minute between Morocco and Equatorial Guinea. Moving over to some news involving the First Capital Plus Premier League, and Hearts of Oak have been in the news for hiring a new coach, and now they've been in the news again for the poor nature of their training field. It's located in Tesano here in Accra, but according to the administrative manager of Hearts of Oak, Hakman Edu, we and everybody else are crying more than the bereaved because the players are not complaining.
What are they okay with it? You know, House of Oak started at the Lotteries Park, which is similar to this, and even that one, it's more, if you touch the pitch itself, the surface, it's very hard. This one, very soft, and I'm not saying that because of that it's good for us, but looking at the situation, the circumstance in which we are, at least I think we have to cope with it for some time. So the players, technical team, everybody understand the situation. You know, we have Pobima, we have a training ground there. Unfortunately, before the start of preparation for this coming season, we visited the place and realized that we need to do renovation, and we want to do a total renovation. So we've given it to a contractor to work on it, and he told us that we have to vacate the place for some time.
Hearts of Oak are 104 years as of yesterday. They train on a sandy pitch, and the administrative manager says the players are fine. Amazing Ghana, isn't it? Anyway, let's go over to some global football news now. And the list of confirmed candidates for next year's FIFA elections are out. There are 5 of them, and so let's see who they are.